Filthy Animals is an ecology podcast for adults. Episodes may contain strong language and graphic descriptions of natural phenomena. A more detailed list of content warnings is included in the episode description. Welcome to Filthy Animals, a sex, drugs, and ecology podcast where science educators talk about the adult activities of the natural world. Every month, we'll expose you to the latest research on topics your high school science teacher was too embarrassed to talk about. I'm Nicole.
I'm Alan.
And I'm Rachel, today's primary host, bringing to you the age-old topic of cuckolding.
Great.
I like that you describe it as age-old.
I'm sure as long as there has been monogamy, there has been cuckolding.
Yes.
That's fair.
Probably the first thing invented after monogamy.
Someone said, let's be together. Actually, I don't want to be tied down.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
But I do want all the benefits.
Yes.
Okay, so what is cuckolding?
Mm-hmm.
In order to delve into that, I'm going to just go over a little biology review of animal mating systems.
All right.
Right. So this is the dumb Western science term for the way that animals form relationships.
Yeah.
And science has a compulsion, an urge to just paint the animal kingdom with broad sweeping strokes.
Sure.
Therefore, animal mating systems can be one of four things.
And that's it.
And that's it.
Yeah.
Number one, monogamy. Somebody
Sure.
tell me what monogamy is.
True love.
Well,
Between only two people. True love.
true
Yeah.
love.
That's I think that's science. Yeah, that's what they
Basically, yeah.
That's how they say it too.
It is when two individuals are paired for at least one breeding season.
That's all you need sometimes.
Yeah. Usually the definitions say male and female, but there are monogamous lesbian albatrosses, for example.
Yeah.
So again, I'm refusing to let them paint everything in broad strokes this episode.
Sure.
We're going to be fighting back against all those broad strokes.
There is no always in nature.
There is no always in nature. So within monogamy, true monogamy has a separate definition. True monogamy, also known as sexual monogamy, is when neither partner seeks sexual relationships outside of the pair bond.
Sure.
And this is setting a little bit of like an expectation versus reality when it comes to monogamous animals. There's a lot of animals that have a reputation, I think, socially as being like the paragons of purity and loyalty. Like, oh, it's so beautiful that these songbirds pair up, and swans, they just are mated for life and they're wonderful. Anyway, the reality is that cheating on partners is so widespread that it is necessary to specify rather than songbirds are monogamous. This is something science does agree. We actually need to say songbirds are socially monogamous.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Briefly, just a couple of, the three other mating systems. Number one, polygyny.
Okay.
Spelled poly and then gyne, which is like gynecology. It's referring to lady genitalia. Yeah. What is polygyny? Biologists, fellow biologists.
That would be one male, many female.
Indeed, yeah. Some examples would be pheasant harems.
Sure.
Harem is a scientific word. And also lex would be included here, which we've talked about this season. On the other hand, there is polyandry, which is, Nicole?
The opposite.
Which is?
One lady, many male.
Yes. Slightly less common in the animal kingdom because it's a little bit of like a role reversal. An example would be pipefishes, which are related to seahorses, which we know a lot about now. And in this system, females are competing for access to multiple males.
Also the Galapagos hawk, polyandrous bird. Yeah.
Yeah, there's really fun examples of this occurring. Finally, there is promiscuity, which is exactly what you think it is. It is just a free-for-all bang fest.
Nice.
Free for all bang fest.
Yep.
That is the term.
Yep. That's
we observed a free for all bang fest in the species.
I'm pretty sure that's how the original naturalists who were like studying mussels in their little English studies. I'm pretty sure that's what they said
Oh yeah,
about like spawning and stuff.
yeah, sure.
I don't have any proof otherwise, so.
It's like, wow, this is just a full on orgy and just clouds of.
Yeah.
Yep.
And for the record, when I say the original naturalists, I mean the people who started this specific branch of science.
Yeah.
I just feel like that's necessary. I'm sure.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The originators, the fathers, if you will, of everything that we have to stick to today.
Yes.
I'm listening to Braiding Sweetgrass right now, so I'm a little fighty.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair. I have
Anyway.
like 3 hours left of that book. Good stuff.
So good. Okay, anyway, what on earth is cuckolding? In common layman's terms, a cuckold is the husband of an adulterous wife. It is also a biological term. So here's the definition in biological contexts. A cuckold is a male who unwittingly invests parental effort in juveniles who are not genetically his offspring.
Okay.
Can somebody like rephrase that in a way that is understandable?
It's, I mean, a male that's raising young that's not his own.
Yeah.
Which is like, yeah, I mean, that's, yeah, okay.
Yeah. There's like a very specific context to cuckolding too.
Yes.
Like I'm sure anybody who's actually heard this term before, you think of it as like, it's like a fetish sometimes. There's a whole set of definitions related to humans, but you know, it's sort of this idea that the cuckolded parent was tricked or like,
Right,
you know,
yeah.
it's like mischievous and devious and
There is like a connotation of shame where it's like,
Yes.
oh, you fool, you've been played for a rube
exactly.
by this, you know, by this duplicitous woman. And it's like,
Yeah.
but I mean, I don't know. This is just pretty standard in biology.
Yeah, extremely standard. Interestingly, the etymology of cuckold, which is etymology, not entomology, it's the study of words.
We'll get into the entomology of cuckolding later.
Actually, yeah. I do have entomology.
Nice.
So it's weirdly relevant to today's topic because the origin of the word cuckold is a bird called the cuckoo.
See, that's what I thought. I thought it
Yeah.
was something bird related.
cuckoo.
Yeah. It sounds very birdy.
Yep, a well-known brood parasite, the cuckoo. Cuckold as a term originates from people witnessing egg dumping in birds, which is where birds like the cuckoo just dump their eggs in somebody else's nest and say, "Ha, sucker," and fly away.
Nice.
And then the other bird raises its offspring.
Nice. Have we ever considered shortening cuckoos to cucks? Just as a, what's their alpha code?
I was just thinking that, but they always have some other descriptive word
You're
like
right,
yellow-billed
yeah.
cuckoo.
Yeah.
So, but man, if there is a bird that's just cuckoo, like cuckoo, that's how it's spelled is
Yeah.
cuckoo.
Yeah.
Its alpha code would just be cuck.
Nice.
That's so
yeah.
good.
Damn.
I'm gonna write
missed
a petition.
opportunity.
Bird names for birds. Call cuckoos cucks.
Yes.
Yeah. First documented in 1250 in English. The term cuckold was popularized by Shakespeare. I have one more note on the origin of the word cuckold, which is that the female equivalent shows up in 1562 for the first time. And it is cuck queen.
That dates all the way back to 1562.
Yes.
All right.
Wow.
It's spelled cuckween, like E-A-N, but it's pronounced cuckween. Quote, in evolutionary biology, the term is also applied to females who are investing parental effort in offspring that are not genetically their own.
Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah. That's what is also a biological term is what I'm saying.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah.
I'm glad that we at least we're acknowledging females at some point, like
Yeah. Yeah.
Right,
Like, I guess
just being duplicitous. Like,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
like in a sense, spoilers for Game of Thrones. One could
Spoilers from
say,
the 2011 show Game of Thrones.
in a way, Ned Stark. No, what's his wife's name?
I don't know.
I forgot. It's been too long. Ned Stark's wife is a cuck queen.
There we go. Okay.
Yep, he brought home a baby and was like, "This is totally mine. You have to raise it." And she was like, "God damn it!" And she did.
Yeah.
What a cuck queen.
Right.
Terrible.
This is interesting that it happens because that's a much harder bamboozle, I think.
Yeah,
to be like, oh, this kid is ours. I know you didn't like birth it, but this is our kid. That's
Right?
a little, yeah.
Makes it pretty impressive. Also,
Yes.
it makes it really hard to imagine as a mammal for other mammalian species that this could be a thing that happens.
Right.
But I don't know. I guess, in the animal world, it's not as straightforward. I don't know if one could consider a lioness raising somebody else's cubs to be a cuck queen.
Yeah.
It's the thing is that cuckolding can really only happen, at least biologically, in a socially monogamous mating system. And that's because you have to have like a partner you're devoted to that you can cheat on.
Yeah.
Some stats do talk about this in the context of like polyandry or polygyny because there's like an implied devotion of one of the sexes to that one partner. But yeah, anyway, socially monogamous mating systems are in most groups. Gibbons and prairie voles are a great example of mammals that have socially monogamous mating systems. Vultures and just a billion birds also have socially monogamous mating systems. There are some other animals. It's rarer in things like invertebrates or reptiles. The red-backed salamander is a rare example of an amphibian with social monogamy. And then probably the most studied monogamous lizard is the shingleback skink.
Those guys are fun.
Yeah. So it does occur outside of birds. Birds are certainly the most well-studied, though. And I think it's because, this is just my pure speculation, birds have like that extra like, oh, wow, paragons of loyalty sort of reputation. So I think when scientists first realized how widespread cheating is, they were like, wait a minute, and really delved into it. Like gibbons cheating, they're basically, yes, that makes sense. But birds?
Yeah.
So to get into cuckolding, we're going to start off by looking at a bird.
Okay.
Yeah. Any questions so far?
No, let's get into
Great.
cuckolding.
Cuckolding. This is a study in 2022 on the European blackbird, which is a bird that has been absolutely studied to death. And blackbird, I'll just start off by laying this out, is a misnomer because I want you to picture the correct bird this whole time, right? It is a jet black thrush, which is like an American robin or a bluebird. So when I say blackbird, don't picture like an actual blackbird. Picture like bluebird type bird.
Sure.
Cool. These guys are considered sort of a model species because their biology is so well known at this point. And it is really hard to tell just by looking at a population whether cheating is occurring, because even in this population where they've been studied for decades, like when cheating happens, it's happening in the dark.
Sure.
Not literally, but it's like down in the bushes. It's sneaky. They only witnessed like an actual cheating foray, like a rendezvous, yeah, one time in 26 years. And so the best way to find out if cheating is happening is to look at the offspring
Sure.
and do DNA tests. So that's what this study finally did on this studied to death population.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, because most things birds do is incredibly conspicuous.
Yeah.
And like, that's probably kind of why they're like the standard for studying mating systems, is because they're like, oh, we can see them doing this stuff. But
Hear them
Yes.
and like,
Yeah, they're making it so obvious.
right, except when they're fooling around.
Yeah, which means they know it's a sin. They know it's morally wrong.
Whoa. Yeah. No. Yeah.
You know,
Or they just don't want to be
You heard it
reprimanded.
here. You heard it here first.
Oh, God.
Or is it just normal? We'll find out. Okay, so according to the latest summary of bird infidelity studies, which was done in 2019, extra pair paternity, which is the mouthful term for dads who are not the dads, but they are the dads if you think about it, because they raised the. My point is, extra pair. It's outside of the social pair paternity, so it's like the dad is not the one raising the chick. That occurs in 76% of the socially monogamous avian species where there's biparental care. Okay. And there's a lot of variation both across species in what that looks like, and even within individual populations of the same species. So the broad strokes here is that the European blackbird is a socially monogamous species with biparental care. So both of the parents are contributing to raising the kids. The social mating system of this bird varies. In this study, which was an urban population of them in Poland, and this has been studied again for 26 years, they found that 99% of the birds were monogamous. And over that course of time, there were like 1,231 different broods raised. So of those, 99% were monogamous pairs. This is just the social mating system, not cheating.
Okay.
The last 1% is just a throw spaghetti at the wall situation of mating systems.
Okay.
For example, 0.4% were, by this study, labeled as bigamous.
Bigamists.
Yes.
Which is a term that is a science term, we're saying? So I've never heard that term outside of Mormonism.
No,
Like,
I also tried to look up like a scientific definition of bigamy, and it was like, do you mean people?
Yeah, right.
I didn't spend that much effort on it though, and they didn't go on to define what that meant in this study. The word bigamy only occurred in this one mention.
Interesting. Okay.
But the implication there is that it was somebody who had a social partner and then a second wife somewhere. Basically.
Secret family. Yeah. Okay.
They also had 0.3% was sequential polyandry, which means the girl had two different guys or multiple men, rather. I'm assuming it must be more than two if they said bigamy was a separate system.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway, in sequence, she had multiple male partners within the breeding season that you would consider to be like they're locked in.
Gotcha.
It was not socially bonded to any of them necessarily.
She was.
She was.
But she picked social bonds with multiple males throughout the same season in sequence. Yeah.
Okay. So like just serially sort of, yeah.
Yeah.
Just checking things out.
Yeah,
You know?
And
sure.
0.3% means that the women were doing this at a higher percentage than the men because sequential polygyny was only 0.1%. And then there was also a case, or 0.2% of the broods were raised by simultaneous polyandry, which I guess is where it's all happening at the same time.
Sure.
Like she has multiple males at the same time. I don't know how that works. Anyway, as you can see, the broad strokes really don't apply to birds because they say definitions. I'd really like to have multiple male partners.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
That's
screw
fair.
you.
At the same time.
At the same time. Also recorded some pairs that used the same nest simultaneously. So I guess they were just cohabitating in the same nest and raised all their kids like they were family. There was a successful polyterritorial polygyny, which means that the male had multiple females and they were in separate territories, not the same territory, and he was guarding all of them in separate territories. He had them all in different cities, basically, and was like, back off.
Sounds like a lot
all
of
of
work.
them.
That sounds like a lot of effort. Yeah.
Yeah. And there was also one male that simultaneously attracted 3 females.
Okay.
So good for him.
Okay. Yeah.
And they all contributed to building the nest and stuff like that, which was crazy.
Wow. So it's like a little polycule kind of.
Yeah,
that's
basically,
nice.
yeah. Little quadruple, if you will.
Quadruple.
Also, in this population, divorce rates are really high. Within the season, 14% of the pairs will break up. And between the seasons, 43% of the pairs will break up.
Okay.
So that's considered pretty high in this population. So when they studied the parentage, what did they find about who the fathers were in this situation? Well, it turns out in 17% of all the broods that they studied this one season, at least one nestling had a different father than the one who raised him.
And what was
17% of the broods?
Okay, you would have
there was at least one
extra pair paternity.
Yes,
and 17%. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So genetic cheating, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
In looking at all the nestlings all together, because there's multiple babies in each nest, 13% of all the baby blackbirds born during that study were raised by a cuckold.
Okay.
13%. Okay.
Yeah. So 13% of all the babies. Now, what's interesting is that this is actually less extra pair parentage than the average bird.
Yeah.
In the average bird, 33% of broods will have a baby that doesn't belong to its father.
Okay.
Compared to the 17% we saw here. It is similar to other socially monogamous birds, which is like a 2% difference in broods that have babies not related to their dad. And what makes this super interesting is that it's much, much lower than other related members of this genus. So it's in the genus Turdus, which is just an objectively funny genus.
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
And in other Turdus thrushes, they are above the overall bird average, all of them, in terms of how much cheating genetically is going on. Just as an example, the American robin, 72% of all the broods have babies in them that are not related to their father.
72%.
Yes, 71.9.
Thank you for being precise.
You're welcome.
That's pretty high, yeah.
And that actually accounted for 48% of all the nestlings in that species based on our broad stroke analysis.
Yeah.
Are the result of cheating.
Yeah.
It's like half the babies
Half
are
the
not
babies,
related to
yeah.
their father.
Half the babies in a nest are somebody else's. Yes.
Yeah.
Insane.
That's a lot.
Yeah. So with that in mind, I mean, European blackbirds are fairly faithful, but also divorce a lot.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's better just to go your separate ways,
Yeah.
It's fine.
It's true.
Exactly. And that's what the females say in this population for sure.
So, okay. So what, how intense then with other turdid species, with other like robins and things, how like intense is their territoriality, their mate guarding, if this is so common, like that, like 3/4 of broods and half of babies are not from within the social bond.
Yeah, I think the conventional wisdom is that you tend to see in these populations where there's more cheating, less intense mate guarding and things like that, which makes sense if you also consider the fact that like both partners are obviously doing a lot of cheating on the side, so they can only devote so much of their attention to their OG partner.
That's true. Yeah.
Also, in these cases, the males may have less to do with the biparental care because, like, okay,
I was going to ask that too.
Yeah, biparental care, that means both parents are contributing.
Sure.
Which is different only in the sense that like sometimes one partner will just skedaddle and say good luck with those. And so that looks very different if like the female is the only one building the nest and like all the male is doing is bringing food sometimes. There's a lot of work that goes into raising baby birds. You have to incubate the eggs. You have to build the nest. You have to brood the babies, keep them like at an adequate temperature. You have to feed them all. So I don't remember exactly how involved male American robins are. I'm sure it's very well known. But I remember that they don't have quite as much involvement in all of those steps. Like I don't think that they're incubating, broad strokes speaking. They're contributing food and things like that. But yeah, that's kind of the conventional wisdom with how this works.
Yeah, I mean that makes sense. Like at a certain, if it's that common, and you'd think it's not like it's not something they're trying to, I guess, fight against. Like they're not trying to be like super protective. I guess it's just sort of a standard like. Oh, we're all doing this,
Yeah, like let's not pretend.
Yeah, I know half these kids aren't mine. Whatever.
Yeah, like half of the neighbors' kids are mine. So like, who cares?
Exactly. I've been slutting it up all over this neighborhood.
Exactly. Yep. Uh-huh. And in the European blackbird population, like they did intensely mate guard, and part of that was that the population was pretty dense, so it was in a park, right? And so that means the territories were smaller, so the mate guarding was really intense, even to the point where like a pair that was destined to break up in a couple of days, if the female tried to leave the territory, the male would still like chase her down and try to prevent her from leaving, even though it was a doomed relationship, right? So yeah, pretty intense. And they hypothesized that in this population, maybe the reason why they were so faithful to each other was because they were so close together. The guarding was really intense, and that they just divorced when they didn't like their partner anymore. Like, so the divorce rates were so high, which is the term they used in this paper, that, if it wasn't working, they weren't like, well, I'll just cheat with Jack over there. They were like, you know what? Screw you. I'm going to move into Jack's territory.
Whoa. That's how you really know it's over.
For sure. Yep. Oh, and then there was that one quadruple, which I guess they were happy. The way that scientists measure how successful a pairing is whether they produce offspring.
Sure.
Which seems a little reductive. But the quadruple did successfully raise kids. So they were successful in the eyes of science.
Okay. They haven't measured a way of like determining like, are you really happy in this relationship?
They didn't like tally behavioral markers of stress or anything like that. No.
Okay.
Terrible. Yep. And just a final note in this study, they did document one case of egg dumping, which meant that an egg and a baby showed up that wasn't related to any birds in the entire population in the study at all.
Yeah, which is interesting. And that only happened one single time?
One single time, yeah. And they were like, you know what? When we were making observations, we did see one random female who kept showing up and looking around, and she didn't have any bands from our study. And then she disappeared mysteriously, so I bet she was the one.
She just, okay, so it's like an accidental brood parasite.
Not accidental, incidental.
Incidental. That's the better word. Yes.
Yeah,
just sort of like I can't deal with a kid right now here.
Yeah.
This is yours now.
Yes.
Okay.
Is there any possibility that instead of cheating, they are just egg dumping? Like that's more common than we realize.
That's a good question. And
I guess they're being very closely monitored.
They're very closely monitored. The nests are closely monitored. It's also noteworthy whether the parent of either sex is in the population. Yeah. Because that would indicate cheating. And they have the genetic markers of every single bird here. So they can say this baby belonged to the female who was raising it, but not the male. Yeah. So it's really apparent when they have that much genetic information, exactly what's going on.
Sure.
But that's a really good point because brood parasitism is pretty common. And just as a note, because I don't think we've defined it, egg dumping or brood parasitism is basically when birds or other animals are hijacking the parental care of completely unrelated parents. Yes. And they're just dumping an egg, or usually it's an egg. I can't think of examples where they dump a full-blown baby. Yeah. Because it would just get killed. Yeah.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. Anyway, it's it's really more of like female on female type violence. I don't know. Competition. Yeah. It's brood parasitism. That's really common and it's really well documented. We know some species are more likely to be brood parasites. Redhead ducks. That's the name of the duck species. Redhead. Redheads. Terrible brood parasites.
Now you're talking about like intraspecific, like
Yes.
these ducks they'll throw eggs in other
members of their own species.
They're not like not like an obligate brood parasite like a cowbird that's going to be like, you two are. I know you're like a completely different animal, but you're raising my kids now,
right? And that's a really good point because they do use the same term, brood parasitism, for both of those things, but in studies they document the difference between like within your own species and across species. And in some cases, like the redhead, it is such a prolific brood parasite that even though it's mostly laying eggs in members of its own species, it will lay eggs in like a Canada goose nest. It'll lay eggs in like just things that are completely inappropriate, where the chick is definitely going to die because it definitely isn't going to be raised by parents that like know what it eats or will take it to the correct places.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
But if you're dumping like a billion eggs all around the neighborhood, like a few of them are going to make it. So
It's just sort of a like a broadcast strategy of egg laying.
Yeah. I one time, like in my undergrad, I did several grassland songbird studies. And I one time flushed a meadowlark off of a red-winged blackbird nest, which contained one meadowlark egg among the blackbird eggs. And I was like, what just happened? Has this been documented before? And like the grad student I was working for was like, I've never heard of this. Maybe we should see about getting this like note published somewhere or something. But yeah, so I mean, weird stuff happens.
Those birds are not the same size.
No.
Yeah, that's really the funniest kind of brood parasite. Yeah.
Yep. So anyway, yeah.
Interesting. I wonder what the condition of that one that one bird where they were like where it was like an aberration like kind of thing.
Yeah.
Where, like, what was the condition of that bird? What caused that? Why did it do that? That's interesting to me. I don't know.
It's so interesting. Yeah. I can't tell you more about that, but I can tell you that this extra pair copulation, which is having sex outside of your monogamous relationship, infidelity, if you will, has a lot of variability in all of these groups. So we saw how variable it can be in blackbirds. In mammals, it's been studied quite a bit. Like back in 2009, there was a study on gibbons, and they concluded that the disparity in how much cheating is going on in populations was better predicted by the different social structures going on instead of the different types of pair bonding that are happening in a mating system. So like it really is like the social structure of the population or the species that kind of drives how much cheating happens, which makes sense. That's like what happened with the blackbirds, right? Sure. There was a little bit less cheating because this social structure necessitated more divorcing instead.
Yeah.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah.
Yep. When I was researching this,
Yes.
I accidentally, just out of my own dumb brain, typed extra pair maternity in my little RefSeek search looking for papers. And to my surprise, this actually popped up as a phenomenon. And there was like the first result was a paper from last April on extra pair maternity in beetles.
Okay, yeah.
And so that made my entire brain screech to a halt. And I said, what do you mean? Okay. Conventional wisdom, again, says that dudes will spread their seed wherever because it benefits them, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Sure.
It's like, what do you mean the mothers are dumping eggs, but the father is related? Okay. Anyway, I looked into this because I was like, this is crazy. And also beetles are monogamous sometimes. There are insects that are monogamous. I found a shrimp that was monogamous. So this is the Japanese burying beetle, Nicrophorus quadripunctatus, which is a biparental species of socially monogamous beetle, where the female does all of the heavy lifting in the relationship. The male contributes, but like literally not enough to affect the kid's survival, which I thought was funny.
So they're sort of biparental then.
They try.
Yeah, they try.
They contribute.
They're present.
Yeah, they're present. They're feeding the babies. if the mother isn't there, the babies suffer. If the father's not there, they're fine.
Okay, yeah, that's very all right.
Anyways, burying beetles and other carrion beetles are really, really competitive, and that's because, like the name suggests, they're eating carcasses, and carcasses are just prime real estate. You know, you can only have a carcass available for so long before somebody's going after it.
That's true.
So, we've known for a long time, for example, that if an intruder carrion beetle shows up on the carcass or carcass ball, depending on if they've balled it up like dung beetles, they might just straight up kill off all the larvae of the existing pair that's there. Infanticide is rampant in carrion beetles. Anyway, this study in April looked at genetic parentage in wild broods, not lab conditions. And here's a quote from the study. Females can choose to lay eggs in the nest of a conspecific, that's the same species, female, resulting in extra pair maternity. And my brain went, no, that sounds like brood parasitism.
Yeah.
Because if it's extra pair maternity, then that would imply that the fathers are the same, not just a female coming in and laying an egg. Unfortunately, I couldn't actually access this article. I tried so hard to find a way to access it. Could not read the full article, so I couldn't comb through the results or the methods. All I had was the abstract, which said that 7 larvae of 149 were unrelated to the mothers caring for them. And it said nothing about the fathers.
So we're assuming, though, since this is a difference in terms, we're assuming perhaps that these are related genetically to the male, but we could confirm that.
I couldn't confirm that, yeah.
Okay.
I did look elsewhere for clues, and one of the things I found was that brood parasitism is documented in both this species and related species, and those researchers called it brood parasitism. They didn't call it extra pair maternity.
Okay.
Also, extra pair parentage appears common in the studies that have been done on similar species. Females can store sperm, so that makes sense, you know, like, and sometimes there are also subordinate males around anyway. Like the social systems of this beetle are pretty variable the same way that blackbirds are. Like,
Sure.
if a bunch of little puny guys show up, the female might just be like, you know what, fine, you can hang out with me in my main squeeze. Anyway, the last clue that I had was that in this species there is, because of the tendency for other beetles to show up on the carcass attracted to the couple, something called female coerced monogamy, which essentially means in one species of burying beetle in the same genus, the females were physically preventing their male from chemically attracting other females. If there's a giant carcass and there's plenty of food, a lot of times the male will be like, oh, I could just get a side chick in here and then we'd be making money. And then he'll be like, blah, 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 and let out a bunch of pheromones, which does have a chance of attracting bugs that will just come eat him and usurp him.
Sure.
But most of the time, like 80% of the time, other females show up. And the main female is like, I'm not having your mistress in here. She tries to prevent him from turning it into a polygynous situation, basically. She forces monogamy.
Completely reasonable. Yeah.
Yeah. How is she doing that?
Yeah. How you said physically, like what?
Yeah. She is like, it has to do with like literally physically like beating him up to stop him from doing it.
Oh wow.
Like using arms, like it's mechanical. She's like, bah, 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 stop it.
Yeah.
And they did find that she was like doing something because in their experimental design, they demonstrated that she is stopping him from emitting pheromones and producing more of those chemicals. So it makes a measurable difference, unlike his parental care.
Oh my gosh.
The females are just a little more effective and yeah.
Yeah, for sure. The reason I thought this was like an interesting note in this like puzzle was because on smaller carcasses, the females are super aggressive with competing females, including like killing off the young. But on the big carcasses, there's a chance for other females to come in who are attracted to her mate. And so I was like, okay, maybe there are opportunities socially for true extra pair maternity to occur.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I'll come back to this because But I was intrigued by this topic.
Yes.
So I went back to birds where the papers actually make sense to see if extra pair maternity does occur. Mm-hmm. And it does. And in birds, at least, where things make sense, they made a point to differentiate it from parasitism. Okay. So, like, again, back in 2009, a great year for this, I guess, a study was done on three-toed woodpeckers in Finland. And in these monogamous pairs of parents, the majority of the broods were raised by monogamous couples. Okay. And most of the nestlings were the offspring of the parents who raised them, 75 out of 80. However, it was found for the 5 remaining nestlings, 2 of them, it was the father who was not their true parent. Mm. So the mother cheated on it's what we've been talking about, extra pair paternity.
Sure.
In 3, the other 3, they found what they called quasi-parasitism, aka not true egg dumping because the father's mistress laid his egg in his nest with his primary partner. Yeah. In 3 out of the 5 instances, yeah.
The 2 socially monogamous, the socially bonded pair then had no offspring truly in common. They had none that were genetically their own.
Sorry, they did. Yes,
they did. Okay,
but so in the broods, so 5
total
of the total. Yeah, so 5 of the total babies in the entire population were not related. So and these were in separate broods. So basically 3 of the woodpecker cavities had 1 egg from the father's mistress in there.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
That makes sense, yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So this is genetic polyandry and polygyny. And in this case, they were like, oh, why does this happen? The hypothesis is that in this species, the male does a lot more of the labor. For example, he contributes a ton to just excavating the cavity in the first place. Sure. And these guys go back to the same cavity over and over again. So they're super invested in that work. Yeah. Also, the males like exclusively brood and incubate at night. So he's literally doing a lot of the work, which I guess also makes sense why the female would choose him the mistress female would choose him as an affair partner and then also put the egg in his nest. Sure. Because she liked his stuff and he's going to be taking care of those babies.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. Makes sense. Dang.
So overall, extra pair maternity has been documented in a few birds. Like there's several of these birds where they've documented it. And apparently, the term that I needed to know to look this stuff up was quasi-parasitism because for some reason, we're attaching quasi-parasitism, which feels like a loaded term, to the women who are doing this and dumping their babies, but like not extra pair maternity, which is like a clean scientific medical term. Right. Anyway, this has occurred in other songbirds and also shorebirds is where it's been documented.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Would never happen to a hornbill. They'll lock themselves in there.
Oh, yeah. Famously forced monogamy. Yeah. Anyway, armed with the correct terminology, apparently, to know how to look for this thing that has a name that occurs in both sexes, but is like sexistly divided by terms for some reason.
Yeah.
Surprise.
Yeah. I went back and looked for quasi-parasitism occurring in freaking beetles, and I think I found my smoking gun for true extra pair maternity.
Nice.
So, quasi-parasitism, eye roll implied, was detected in the same carrion beetle species from that EPM study under lab conditions. So until that study in 2023, quasi-parasitism had not been observed in any insects. Now, the 2024 study abstract did reference that extra-pair maternity had been detected in this species prior only in lab conditions, which I think is referencing this study.
Sure.
And that the 2024 study went on to specify that they had finally documented it occurring in the wild.
Okay.
Based on that, I think, yes, that carrion beetle study was truly extra-pair maternity and not just brood parasitism, because this quasi-brood parasite, quasi-parasitism study did confirm genetically that females were finding an affair partner and then laying an egg in the primary female's nest for her to raise.
Okay.
Now, then what is the benefit of that strategy then if the male is a doofus in this species? Like if the male like contributes nothing, it's not like with the woodpeckers where it's like, oh, this dude, he builds cavities, he raises babies, he's like, this is a good dude.
Yeah. And here's what I think. It's really resource dependent. So the limiting factor here is that carcasses are hard to find.
Right.
And so if a female sneaks in and it's likely that a second brood of eggs is going to get like devoured and destroyed and killed by the primary female, maybe it makes more sense to give one of her offspring a fighting chance with this carcass by duping the female into raising the babies.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah. If they're just going to clear out any competing nest.
Yeah, it's really likely that would happen. Yeah.
Yeah, so they're just...
Is she then judging the quality of the mate by like his partner?
Yeah.
But again, it could be resource dependent too. Like maybe it's just like, I haven't seen a carcass in ages. This is my one shot at like a nice bunny meal for my babies, Yeah.
And they are just like stuffing like a couple eggs in there, right? Like, because you'd think a female would be like, hang on, I didn't have 200 eggs. Like this is way more than I
and I don't
remember.
think they're laying that many, but it is like under 3 is the number that they're detecting. So it's like, 1 or 2 eggs snuck into the brood. And there was no indication that it was, the baby was going to get found out and destroyed.
Yeah.
Sure.
So whatever they're doing, I guess it's working.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Fun.
I love that the social lives of these animals and the sexual lives and everything, it's just so pliable, and you really can't apply broad strokes. Like again, in this beetle species, it's very possible that a second female showing up would just be accepted and the OG female would just be like, fine, I guess we're polygamous now, like whatever. Depending on if she feels like she has enough resources to share with a partner. But yeah.
Crazy.
Such drama.
Now, finally, my last little tidbit that I have for you guys today in regards to cuckolding is a paper that at long last was brave enough to use the word cuckold rampantly in their biological study. And I'm going to read you a sentence that's going to be so mind-boggled with the word cuckold that you're going to struggle to understand what's happening. We'll break it down.
Okay.
But this is a 2019 study on the azure-winged magpie.
Ooh.
Where they studied both extra-pair paternity and extra-pair maternity, henceforth known as EPM and EPP.
Fair.
Okay.
In this species. Okay. So here's a quote from the study. Prepare yourselves. Fledglings raised by EPM cuckolded males and EPP cuckolded females did not differ from faithful breeders, whereas fledglings raised by EPP cuckolded males and EPM cuckolded females were significantly smaller than those raised by faithful breeders.
Huh. Okay.
Let me wrap up all of those scientific words into a single sentence that will make sense to our brains. Ready?
Yeah, sure.
The parents know that they've been cuckolded, regardless of sex.
Mm-hmm.
And the cuckold babies in those situations turn out smaller.
Yeah, they're the shameful bastard child.
Yes. That's rough.
Right. Yeah, it's rough. It's rough.
I don't know how they know, but that's crazy. That's
Yeah.
crazy that they know. So basically, in the azure-winged magpie parents, both the male and the female will try harder to be good parents when they are definitively related to all the young. Either because the pair was completely faithful or because they were the one who cuckolded their partner. So in both of those situations, again, they know. They know if they got cuckolded. There's no like, well, maybe I'll know. They're aware. And if they are a faithful pair, they both put in a bunch of effort. If they cheated, they put in a bunch of effort. If they got cheated on and one of the babies is not theirs, they like scale it back and say, you know what, why bother?
Wow.
They don't put in the extra effort, which means that all of the nestlings turn out, well, sorry, the cuckold nestling turns out smaller.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Brutal.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
So I don't know what really to make of this. I guess in this case, like if you're a cuckold or a cuck queen, why bother trying? Screw that kid.
Wow.
Dang. Okay.
I was like explaining this to my partner, and they were like, so what you're saying is that the universal evil stepmother trope is in fact universal in the animal kingdom as well.
If they
And,
can
like,
perceive it.
if they perceive it.
If they know.
I guess so, yeah. And I guess one of the other things I thought was interesting here is that they for some reason characterized the effort as like putting in more effort, as opposed to putting in like just enough.
Sure.
So they were like, you know, the baseline of like these nestlings are going to survive or whatever. We're considering that the baseline.
Yeah.
And then if they're related to their babies, they put in a little bit more effort.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
It's nice they don't just like kill them.
Just like yoink.
Because they could.
Yeah. If they
Chucking you out
know.
of the nest. Yeah.
Yeah. Certainly some birds do chuck unrelated birds out of the nest.
Yeah. I was remembering like when we talked about cowbirds. About how like if they try to not raise the kid and the cowbirds come by and they're like, no.
Yeah, the cowbird mob shows up.
You're raising that kid.
Like, get in there and feed that child. Terrible parent.
Yeah.
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 I was wondering about that too. Like maybe they're only taking care of that child because they're afraid of retaliation. Like
that could be, yeah. And
because they've got, that's a good point.
The researchers did not get into any of that. They were just like, here's our results.
Yeah.
Isn't that interesting?
It is like a sort of a truce of like, okay, we all look, we've all done things, okay. Let's just all raise each other's babies. It's gonna be okay. All right.
Try again next year.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I will not treat this again. It's like the wife of Ned Stark.
That's right. Begrudgingly.
Ultimate cuck queen.
The wife of Ned Stark.
What is her name? I feel so... Oh no. People are screaming. It's been too long. Game of Thrones is such old news. We're all over it. We mourned, we grieved, we forgot it existed, and now even Lyanna Stark. No, is that her name?
I don't know. I literally have no idea. I tried to read those books. They introduced like 20 characters in the first chapter, and I was like,
Yeah, no, that.
What is this? The Bible?
Definitely. Actually, thematically similar. No, yeah, that pissed me off. I am bad with names. So like when I was like, I'm going to give this a good effort. During the first chapter, I was like, I'm keeping track of each one of these people. I'm going to go back. I'm going to go back and I'm going to be like, yes, I know exactly who this character is. Yeah. I'm putting in the work. They were all dead by the end of the chapter. And I was like, I'm over this.
I basically did the same thing.
I
was like, everyone freaking loves these books. I'm going to really give it an honest effort. And
I think they're faking.
They have to be.
They
It's
have
not
to be
that good.
faking, yeah.
Well,
I'm so sorry, George R. Martin fans.
yes.
Is anybody still loyal to him at this point?
I mean, Eldring's pretty cool.
GTA 6 is going to come out before the next Game of Thrones book.
And every time he hears that, he pushes back another year.
Yeah,
I think he's actually said that before.
Yes.
What a jerk.
I don't blame him.
Oh, man. Anyway, Ultimate Cuck Queen, wife of Ned Stark, aside, my concluding discussion here for this episode is that monogamy and parentage is a very complex subject in the animal kingdom. And that probably shouldn't be a mind-blowing conclusion to come to, except that humans have this weird exceptionalist viewpoint that only humans can be as complex as humans are.
Yeah.
And so we tend to not look for complexity and to paint things with broad strokes in a way that's totally inappropriate to what's actually happening out there.
Yeah.
In a lot of cases, that's like prevented us from making interesting discoveries or from understanding just how complex systems are in a way that causes us to cause harm to those systems because we refuse to accept how variable or pliable they can be.
Yeah. I mean, even within population, even at the population level, like small, like, you know, within a small study area, you're seeing all sorts of deviations from the norm in terms of, you know, what's like the expected behavior. So yeah, it's it's very complex.
And I feel like maybe this like was a conversation that took place outside of this recording, but Nicole brought up one time that maybe a lot of the research that we're doing to try and understand species in a broad sense is inadequate because what we should be doing is studying them on the local level.
Yeah.
Like you brought that up one time and I thought that was like really insightful.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And like we have this study that you talked about to kind of back that up. It's like we thought that this species as a whole did this thing, but this population is doing something completely different. Like,
yeah. How often are we missing the species average because we're only studying isolated populations?
Yeah. There's one, population that's been studied for 50 years, and we're like, yep, this is how it works. Absolutely.
Everything is understudied.
Yeah. It also makes me realize like just how absurd it is that species like the Harris's sparrow we've talked about on the podcast, which has never had its breeding biology studied.
Yeah, it's way too far up there.
Yeah. And just one and just one study is probably inadequate for you know the entire species. And like so how insane is it that we don't know a single thing about that?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
Yeah. So I guess that's my takeaway. Like local differences in animals can be huge and important and just as interesting to study, especially in the way that our world is changing and the way that animals are being forced to use space is changing. Like this is something we should be paying attention to because even something as thought of as universal as monogamy is not when you take a look at those like smaller pieces.
Yeah.
And even the Laysan albatross, which is probably one of the most famously monogamous species, life partners for literal 70-year, like decades-long stints.
Yeah.
Faithful. But they have a huge lesbian population.
Yeah.
A huge lesbian population. They cheat on their lesbian partner sexually to produce a baby that their devoted lesbian partner and her can raise together.
Yeah.
Devoted monogamists must cheat to have a baby. Yeah.
Well, yeah.
And who can say if that's consensual? They probably, I don't know. Anyway, my point rests. There's likely no such thing as true sexual monogamy in the animal kingdom, and we should just keep investigating.
Yeah.
Do lesbian albatrosses take turns being the genetic mother?
Yes.
Fun.
Interesting. Yeah.
Sometimes they'll lay two and they'll be like, wait a minute, whose turn is it this time?
This feels like a whole other episode. We'll talk about that another day. But Rachel, what a fantastic foray into the wonderful world of cuckolding that you've taken us on. Thank you for listening to Filthy Animals. This podcast is produced by the nonprofit Grassland Groupies to spread scientific literacy in the interest of preserving our favorite natural resources. Send us mail at 4925 South Broadway, number 69, Wichita, Kansas, 67216. And our other social media and contact info is in the notes. Rachel, have you got a little brain bleach for us? Not that we need it.
I don't think we need it, but I do have something that I think is interesting.
Yeah.
It has to do with wolves.
Okay.
Yeah. Because I think wolves get misused by
Idiots?
people like the manosphere idiots. Yeah. To be like, I'm gonna have so many bitches. Wolves are an example of a socially monogamous species.
Oh.
Yeah. So they have devoted partners. They're devoted to their partner. There might be a little bit of cheating going on,
Sure.
but that's really no different from a swan. So
There you go.
manosphere blokes, if you want to take a lesson from a wolf, it's that you need to have a very strong partner bond with your partner, and you need to work together cooperatively and, maybe even as equals.
Yeah. And have a healthy support system in your fellow man and woman.
Yeah.
There you go.
It's a lesson on strong community,
Yes.
Yeah.
which contains a strong partner bond. Yeah.
Beautiful.
That's right.
Manosphere idiots.
Yeah, you dorks. That's a good takeaway, Rachel. That's good. Yeah.
Yeah. Beautiful.
What does it mean that, like, George R.R. Martin, he is kind of like stepped outside, and he's like creatively mating with other people and neglecting his own children. What is that? What is that going on there?
I think that means that Game of Thrones itself, as a work of fiction and a work of art, a project, is a cuck queen.
He's kind of cucking his former self.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Cucking his work, if you
Yeah. Oof. Yeah.
Game of Thrones is the wife of Ned Stark.
Well,
If you really
so
bad.
all right. Bye.
Bye.